Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mabimpressions, and today we're going to be talking about Shin Megami Tensei V. It is finally out after 8 years since the previous game, the fourth one, came out, I think, on the 3DS. Is this one worth playing? Is it worth your time? Is it worth your money? Well, let's talk about it. Before we get started, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, please like and subscribe. I do upload daily videos, and this review is going to be, I'm pretty sure, a relatively longer one compared to my other types of reviews, simply because this is a very, very heavily mechanical JRPG, so I'm going to try my hardest to give you guys all of the details, what's new, what's the quality of life stuff, what did I like, what did I dislike. So if I missed anything, and I'll try my hardest to go through most of it. Please, if you have any questions or opinions, put them in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. With that being said, watch till the end, because I'll give you my final rating on if I recommend Shin Megami Tensei V. Alright, let's begin with the summary, talking about the developer and publisher, Atlas. Very, very good developer, come out with a lot of great RPG stuff. Publisher is Sega, it's on the Switch. The game releases on November 12th, 2021. It's going for $59 US. You can see here I have the basic physical copy. Unfortunately, I was a little too late to pre-order the special edition, which came with like a bag, and even the steelbook one, or the steel cover one, I wasn't able to get it, but you know, I'm totally fine with this one. The story is as follows. When a grisly murder scene in modern day Tokyo blocks our protagonist's walk home, an unplanned detour leaves him buried and unconscious. He awakens in a new Tokyo, a wasteland ravaged by an apocalypse, now called the Dats. But before bloodthirsty demons can claim his life, a savior emerges, and they unite to become a mighty being, neither human nor demon, a Nahobino. With newfound power, the protagonist ventures through that an enigmatic realm filled with mythical deities and demonic tyrants in constant conflict for survival. Searching for answers, the protagonist must forge his own path in a battle between the light and dark to dictate the fate of the world. The genre is JRPG, turn-based, some mature themes and imagery for sure. Alright, moving over to the gameplay section. If you guys are interested in any of the footage, I am putting my full Let's Play on the MabiVsGamesVOD channel, so check it out, link in the description. And of course, I'm going to be live streaming as much as I can, so follow me on Twitch as well. The gameplay section, I'm going to go over a lot. I'm not going to go into every little nitty-gritty detail, but enough so you can get the overall sense of all the mechanics you're going to be messing with playing this, because it's going to be definitely a 20 to 60 hour game, depending on how fast you get through it. So the majority of the game, you're going to be doing combats, recruiting, training demons, fusing them, exploration, and story. Talking about combat, it's a turn-based game. You have skills. It's going to be attacks, elemental skills, heals, buffs, and debuffs. You have HP, MP. You have a rage bar that goes up under certain circumstances, when you attack, when you get hits. You have a party formation which you can switch out at any time, which dictates the turnover. And they have this thing called extra turns. So it's not as simple as you have 4 party members, you get 4 turns, and then the enemy, however, they have 3 turns. It's a little bit more complicated. The game heavily rewards you for strategizing before and in the battle. You can know what your enemy's weaknesses are. Maybe they're not good against light attacks. Maybe they can't take a hit or strike. If you are able to land a attack that they are weak against, you end up getting an extra turn, up to 4 turns for that round. So potentially 8 turns. So if you attack and they're weak, one of the turn thing lights up, and then after the 4th person goes, the first person goes again. And you keep going that way. So if every single one of your guys does an attack, you're going to get 4 extra turns. It's really nice. However, the same thing can happen to enemies. If you're weak against a force attack and they hit you, not only are you going to take more damage, but they get extra turns as well. It's kind of rough that way. Another thing that kind of alters it, if you miss an attack or you accidentally hit with something that they're completely nullified to, it's going to eat up 2 of your actions. So if you have 2 more saved up, or if you have 1 or 2 left, it's going to completely end your turn and then the enemies go. Next is the recruiting and training. Let's talk about getting new monsters. There's quite a lot of ways to do this here. One of them is, you know, just going into random battles and talking to them. You usually cannot talk to them unless you are at their level or you're higher. Otherwise, they're like, hey, you're too weak. You know, don't even bother talking to me. But once you do, you get a lot of different options, and depending on their personality, sometimes you can go along with their jokes. You can be really mean to them, and you know, some will reciprocate and say, hey, you're a cool guy. And then maybe other times they'll be like, well, I'll join you, but then you're gonna have to give me some of your HP, maybe some money. Well, I say you have some life stones there, give them up. So you have a choice to either grab them or you don't, and then they'll join you permanently. And once you have them in your party, you can switch them in and out your main party, and then they level up along beside you. If you put them in your secondary party, they get a little bit amount of experience. So I kind of like how they did this. It's kind of like Pokemon Party Share. However, it incentivizes you to actually use them. Not everyone gets like 50% experience, by the way. Like maybe the main people get 75% and then the others and the reserve is 25. So you have them there at your disposal, but it's really nice to switch them out and actually use them. You can also get monsters and demons through quests, sub-quests. Sometimes, you know, they'll talk to you and they're friendly and they're like, hey, you know, could you do this for me? And then you go on this like long journey, you know, giving them something or fighting someone on their behalf, and then they're like, oh, I like you, I'll join you. And then the other one, which is extremely heavy, and I'll get into this later, it's the fusions. Basically, you know, putting together different monsters and inheriting things. But like I said, I'll talk about that in a bit. Next is training your demons. You can do it the traditional way, just by leveling up, getting experience. Same thing goes for you as the protagonist. So unlike a Persona game where you are basically a party of a bunch of humans, it's one demon human like hybrid, which is you, and then 3 other monsters that you can switch in and out. So as you level up, you're going to be getting random attributes up. So you have your strength, you have your vitality, magic, agility, and luck, and you can kind of spec your main character in that way. So like 3 or 2 random attribute goes up, and then you get to choose one on your own. So you can specialize in damage, agility, magic. Monsters usually have a set. So if you get a pixie, for example, she's always going to be less attuned in strength and more in magic. And same thing with the slime. Maybe they're just not good with magic, but they can take a hit and they can dish out physical damage. Besides straight out leveling, you can find a bunch of consumables, which kind of act as like a rare candy. You could even increase like stats little by little. There are specific consumables, which is for you and then for your monsters. So you can always find and progress that way. Another thing is essences, which I think it's a new thing. I don't remember. But basically when you kill a monster, when you win a battle, they sometimes have a time, you know, they sometimes can drop items. Maybe it's a consumable, maybe it is an offensive gem, but very rarely they drop an essence. So if you kill a slime, you can get a slime essence. Now, a little bit into the game, a couple hours, you're going to be finding this NPC who's going to allow you to not only fuse monsters, but apply essences. And these essences could go on you or the monster. And what they do is it allows you to learn new skills. So if a fairy has DO, which is heal, you can put it on your main character. You can also put it on different monsters. And once you put them on monsters, they can once again be used as fusions. So there's a ton of customization here. Let's move on to fusion. I like what they did here with registering monsters. You have a compendium, and it is a lot of monsters. It is a ton of monsters. So I'm going to give you an example of how the compendium works. Let's say you have a party of like 5 creatures. You go to the NPC, the compendium, and then you register them. So basically, whatever the monster stat is and the experience at the time, it is bookmarked. It is bookmarked. You're not really getting rid of them. So I'm going to give you another example. You have a slime level 10. You bookmark it into there, and you can use your current slime to fuse it into another monster. Your slime is forever bookmarked, and you can bring him back if you want. So that, you know, your slime, you use them for fusion. He's gone. But you can use money to reclaim him back from the book to keep using your same monster. He keeps the current stats. He keeps all of the cool inheritance skills and the consumables. But like I said, you do use money. The reason why you want to use your powerful units to fuse is because, first of all, it's free. You don't have to pay to bring them back. And once you do fuse them, you're going to get very, very different types of powerful monsters. So as you start registering your favorites, bringing them back and leveling them up, you're going to be, like I said, fusing different types of monsters. The game does a nice job organizing this. There's no guessing, so you literally have, you can see exactly what you're going to make, and you're going to see exactly what skills you can bring over, minus some unique skills and all of the different stats. It shows everything you can make with some restrictions. Sometimes you're not a high enough level, or maybe you have to do a certain story quest. And then there's also special fusions, which are monsters that you just cannot find in the wild. You have to do it this way. But yes, fusing is pretty much essential and is one of the biggest selling points of the game. It's very fun and satisfying finding new monsters in the wild, leveling them up, raising them. And sometimes when you level them up, they give you items and essences. So it's another reason to grab them and bring them along with you. But, putting them in a marker and a bookmark and then using them to fuse and see like, well, I like that guy. I put a bunch of, resources into him. I'm going to bring him back. I'm doing this currently with a pixie. She's like she's the very, very first monster demon that you get, but I'm like, I really like this demon. I'm going to keep pumping stats into her, and then I keep using her to fuse the different monsters, so I keep having to pay to bring her back. But it's really nice that they have the option to do that. This game is highly customizable with your compositions. I can go on and on about the combat and training and fusion stuff, but we got to move on. Let's talk about exploration. When you're running around the world map, and it's very nice, it's very broad. You have a really good map. There's a legend there with a ton of things. You have subquests, main quests. You can see consumables on there. You can see monsters. You can see the icons if they're whites, and if they see you, they go red. You can run, you can sprint, you can do like Naruto sprinting. Is pretty cool. You can jump, and there's some special interactions with the environment, such as maybe climbing on a wall. You can see the actual enemies walking around. It's not a randomized battle. So you can sneak up behind them and you can do an attack. You can't do a jump attack. You do a regular swipe. So think of it like Earthbound. You go up to an enemy, you get to attack them, and then you get the initiative. And it's a single enemy with a single encounter. So if you go up to a clump of 3 slimes, you attack one slime. It's its own encounter. Maybe 2 to 3 slimes in that encounter, and then you kill it, and then there's the 2 leftover slimes there. So it's not like a game where you see 4 enemies in a clump, you're gonna fight 4. No, it's not like that. It's separate encounters. Along that, there are some special enemies that sometimes wander within the groups. They are very, very strong, and they drop I say strong, they're very hard to kill, but as long as you got a spyglass, you can see their weaknesses, and they drop some really good loot and good for leveling up. Speaking of loots, around the world map, you're going to getting a ton of loot via respawnable. Sometimes it's a vending machine that gives you relics of the past that you can sell to an NPC. And there's your navigational buddy, which you get later. Walking around the map, the person will say, hey, go over here. And then sometimes you get like a stone, a consumable, a permanent upgrade, and sometimes it's an enemy battle, so you never know. And then there are one-time treasure chests that can give you money and essences, and also highly incentivized to explore. You get little collectibles called Memons. These are demons, which the merchant NPC has kindly asked you to go get. They give you little tips about the game. They give you a consumable called Glory. I'll cover that in a bit. It's a sort of a different type of money. So you have money, and then you have glory. But yes, every single time you get a Memon, and in the game there's about 200 of them, so they're all over the map, behind rocks, on top of buildings, hidden underground somewhere, so you got to get them, and every single increment of 5 that you get, you're going to get rewarded, so, it's good to go grab them all. Let's move on to the story. So you got your main quest. It's pretty good for the most part. It has some awesome cutscenes that are voice acted. You always know where you're going no matter what. They have that thing where you go in your menu and then you press the start button, and then a little summary of your current task is right there, and it's really hard to get lost because the map has little markers for you to go. But the world map is pretty fun. It's not like crazy open world. It's like instances, but they're large enough for you to want to run around and get a bunch of treasures. There are some characters in the game that you will get attached to, like or hate. Like I said, it's not a Persona game, so you're not going to be constantly around a ton of other people. It's going to be just you, your monsters, your navigational buddy. And really, really, really quick spoiler, I'm going to really call this even a spoiler. There are multiple endings depending on who you decide to align yourself with, and there's also a secret ending. Wow. wow, look that one up if you want, or play yourself. Absolutely play yourself. There's also a new game plus. There's different types of new game pluses. There's one where you literally take your character as strong as he is and just replay the game, but you keep everything. I don't know why you would do that one. And then there's another one where enemies are slightly buffed up and you go through it that way. That's a good one. There's also sub quests. These are optional, but they give you really good rewards. A lot of it's like experience and sometimes monsters, which I talked about. There are a lot of huge mini bosses. Some are optional and some are territorial ones that unlock different miracles, and this is where the glory points come into play. So like I said, different from money, which is used to, you know, restore your characters, because you have to pay to you know, get HP back, to get MP back, to revive them from the dead, and buy, you know, consumables such as potions and stuff. You also have glory. This is a really, really cool feature I like in the game. Well, first of all, how do you get glory? You get it by finding the Memons. You also get them from defeating certain monsters in the world. You can find them in treasure chests, and you can get them from little tiny treasure monsters. Miracles is what you're going to be doing to unlock a ton of upgrades and features in the game. Let me give you some examples. There are ones that affect battle, meaning like, oh, if you swipe an enemy, you get a buff to your rage bar. There's some other ones that give you healing on leveling up, and then you have some really, really essential ones. Some that make it so your demons can permanently get more skills. Your roster of demons that you can carry permanently increases because you kind of have a limited one at the beginning. And one of the biggest things that kind of costs the most glory is permanently upgrading your character's proficiency. And this is where you're going to be trying to decide what kind of character you're making. You can try to do as much as you can. You really could. But I highly recommend you try to do a build. Either go into some elements, maybe 1 or 2 elements, and you keep at it, because you can increase the proficiency of it. So, for example, if you go to a miracle and you spend 50 glory points to increase your darkness affinity, every single darkness spell costs a little less, and they do more damage. Also, you're able to grab enemy essences, or your demon essences, and apply it to your own weaknesses and your strengths. So like I said, there's a lot of gameplay stuff. I really implore you guys to comment if you have any other questions. I'll try to answer it, but I need to move on to the presentation. The graphics and the design. First of all, it's on the Switch. It was good. If it's blown up on a gigantic TV, I can see it tearing a little bit. For the most part, it was not bothersome at all. I really like the environments, and the demon models are very, very nice. The sounds and music, oh, this game has some really nice battle music. As soon as you start the game, just listen to it. It's so good. They have this awesome thing where you start the battle music goes, but then if you kind of shift to talking to it, one of the demons, it kind of goes soft and switches around, and then whether or not the demon likes you or hates you and you end up doing battle anyway, it switches over to a battle theme, so it's like transitional that way. I like that. Okay, let's move on to the pros and cons. What did I like specifically, and what do I think is this game's strongest selling points? Well, it is absolutely a welcomed addition to the series. Of course, with this being the original Shin Megami Tensei series, and I guess the more popular one for sure is Persona, which was the spin-off of this one. You're mostly playing with yourself and monsters instead of a lot of student relationship stuff. There is a ton of growth and progression with you, your characters, a lot of strategy involved. There's a lot of different compositions. You're constantly exploring, getting new monsters, getting consumables, thinking of a build, switching in and out, finding new enemies and bosses. It is a very, very good game. And of course, I think I mentioned this, but the cutscenes, they do have voice acting. Really quick on the voice acting, especially with this version, there is no Japanese voices. It is purely English, and there's no, there's nothing to change it. It's just straight English, which is totally fine by me. I think they did a good job with what I've heard so far. Ooh, okay, how about what did I dislike and what would I change? Sorry about this portion. Let me know if you guys disagree with this. So, one thing that's a little annoying, which I wish they would have changed, is in a battle, if the main character dies, it is game over. With this being a party game, I would have loved it if you get knocked out, you end up just becoming, you faint, and maybe one of your monsters can pick you up either with a spell or something. I don't mind that it's this way. It was very jarring. I was in the middle of a battle. My character got critted a bunch of times, and then he got focused, and then he just died. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna use my another character to, you know, get through this fight and heal up. And maybe when you end the fight, you go with 1 HP. But no, it's just game over. And then you end up being at your very last save. There's no auto saves here. It's just your last save, which I'm totally fine with that. It's just like, yeah. Like, this is the type of game where even if you're playing on normal or hard, some really bad strings of RNG where if they just focus your character out of nowhere, like in some battles there could be like 5 or 6 monsters, and if you just get hit by a bunch of them, it's kind of over, you know. The game, like I said, the game heavily incentivizes you to make use of the new extra turn mechanic, where you get 8 total turns. You have to kill the enemies before they get to you, because they do a ton of damage to you if you're not careful, especially punishing if they get a chance to attack and they hit you with the weakness. Ooh. But I don't think the AI is that smart. I had a lot of instances where they would attack my enemies with weaknesses, and then sometimes they would hit the ones that are completely nullified a couple of times, so it just completely block all the damage. So it seems like the AI is very hit and miss. The game can be very grindy if you don't know to just do this. So you can stay and fight like lower level monsters. You're just not gonna get a lot of stuff, and battles tend to take, you know, a little bit longer. So do quests and just move on and fight higher level monsters. You get so much experience from even a monster 1 or 2 levels higher than you. So I recommend, you know, if it's getting too grindy, hey, don't worry about it. Just keep moving. You know, just keep moving. You'll level up just fine. And probably one of the most controversial points I'm going to be talking about today is the 4 different difficulty settings. When you start the game, there's 3. There's a 4th one you can download, which is like a DLC. It's free. It's called the safety mode, basically Omega journalist mode. It's for, you know, I don't want to gatekeep people. If you want to play this and have fun, go ahead and do it. This is just one where almost, you know, you almost one-shot every single enemy. You're not going to die unless you really aren't paying attention. So that's the safety mode. And easy mode, of course. So easy, normal is what you would expect. I played a little bit on normal, and I have to say it's a very good challenge. However, hard mode. Ooh, let's talk about hard mode. All right, so if you are a hardcore Shin Megami Tensei veteran, you love the challenge, play hard mode. Absolutely play hard mode. It is, like I said, it's good for veterans, and they have this mechanic in the game where you can only pick hard mode on a new save file. You can keep playing, but if it gets too hard, you can bump it down to normal. You can bump it down to easy, but once you go down from hard mode, you're stuck in normal and you can't go back up. Ooh, so I played a lot of hours on hard mode. It is very grindy. Every battle was constant life or death. One wrong misclick and you're just screwed. It really demands a lot of brain power. More strategy and a care is absolutely needed. You have to be prepared for even the smallest clumps of enemies. And once you start getting, you know, to the mini bosses and stuff, you have to always think about, when's the last time I saved? When's the last time I saved? Oh man. So playing through hard mode, I had a couple of questions going through. Mainly, what the heck were the changes? As far as I can tell, and what from what I researched and read, it's only HP damage number. So enemies are more blown up in terms of, you know, being bullet sponges, and they kill you a lot faster. Luckily, there's no like weird stuff like increased prices for like shops or fusions. I would say even if you're a Shin Megami Tensei veteran and stuff, I'd say normal is perfectly fine. I played around 6+ hours in hard mode. I switched over to normal a little bit, and I kind of enjoyed that better. There are different types of challenges, and every gamer is different, so please don't take this as like a strike towards you, like, oh man, you should play hard mode because blah blah blah. Why would you even bother playing easy mode, etc.? You know, play how you want, right? But like I said, there's 2 different types of challenges in games. One that I like and one that I don't like. This is personal. So the first one is number inflations. It's artificially challenging because the enemy is just harder. If you apply that to like a shooter, for example, it just becomes a bullet sponge. You're just sitting there shooting even longer. Same thing here. Instead of shooting, you're just taking more turns fighting and fighting. And yeah, the strategy comes with longer fights. Ooh, I gotta use everything at my disposal to, you know, defeat these enemies. All of my items are going down to the wire here. And that sort of challenge is completely fine in some scenarios. But then there's the other type of challenge that I like, which is AI and mechanic integrations and additions. It basically boils down to what is implemented in the game as a hard mode is not what I personally enjoy. There's no new features, mechanics, or rewards. I'll give you an example. Enemies are the same. They don't do new attacks. There's not more of them. There's no rewards for playing. If you play a Tales game, for example, that's a good one. For example, Tales of Arise, if you play in hard mode, you get a little bit more money, a little bit more BP, a little bit more experience. So there's no reason to play it unless you really, really just want to, you know, draw things out more. But I understand. I have played a ton of games like this where, you know, it was just a number buff. And I was just like, yeah, this is a fun challenge. I'm going to play it anyway. But I think as I've gotten older, my tastes have changed. I want more quality to the difficulty rather than it just, you know, increasing numbers. And I think it all boils down to the amount of time I have to play. I would absolutely play the game on hard mode. I say hard mode is perfect for those who just want to play hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of this. If you want to do normal, I think that is completely fine, and that's personally to save more time, because I am doing this as a let's play, so I don't want to spend 20 of those hours grinding it out. You can cut it out and stuff, but because I'm streaming it, I'm gonna, you know, keep all of it and stuff. But yeah, normal, I think it's gonna be a pretty okay pace with some challenge here or there. Ooh, okay, let's move over to the final thoughts and verdict. Do you really have to ask, boy? 100% yes, 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 yes. Especially if you are fans of Shin Megami Tensei. Absolutely pick it up. You love JRPGs, you love turn-based, you love strategy, you love customization, you love anime type of games, you love Tokyo, you love demons, you love fusing, you love progression, you like consumables. I say consumables. There's a ton of mechanics. Man, this is a staple. This is a really, really good game. I like it a lot. It's good. What if you're just a Persona fan, but you've never played Shin Megami Tensei? I'd say it's close enough, because a lot of the skills like are named the same. So you'd be like, oh, I know what Dio does, etc. But like I said, you're just not going to be doing a ton of after-school bonding stuff. It's just you, monster, strategy, a little bit of cutscene story here or there, intriguing stuff, etc. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. If you guys are enjoying, leave a like. It helps a lot. If you haven't already, subscribe for daily videos. I must have missed something. Or maybe you would like to argue on something. No problem. Just put it in the comments below. And, you know, don't be mean about it if you have opinions. Let's just talk about it. So let me know down below if you have any questions. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you want to know if a feature is in the game or missing. I'll try my hardest down below. And please, come by Twitch, where I'm going to be streaming the whole thing, the rest of it. And go on my Let's Play YouTube channel, MabiVsGamesVOD, where I'm uploading all of it in easy, digestible parts for you guys. So, go get it. It's good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.